Okay. So, last time on Ace Brigade, our team returned Morris the cat to Tobias Farbridge and participated in the cat parade, with Bastard taking up the rear, helping to wrangle the cats along their path. At the conclusion of the parade, the group ended up on the Five Winds Island. There they got their fortune told by Chimaki, a woman that they had met at Olympia's party. Many of them seeing visions that they couldn't quite piece together yet. Warnings of the future and shadows of the past, and a looming presence of forces beyond our hero's grasp. Scragg's fortune told of his dying island, though, and Chimaki saw a woman with stars in her hair dancing with circus folk. From this, Scragg decided he needed to talk to the Prince of the Empire, Pavo, who looked similar to the woman in the vision. Pavo is staying at the foreign embassies, and with that, the group started to head that way. But first, Vaz. While this was all going on, you had found yourself on Five Winds Island as well, but had ended up at a precious stone store that had belonged to Emir Nori's family. Like most businesses in the area, during the cat parade, they were hosting parties for their valued customers. Cat decorations were hanging from the ceiling, and a long, sandy-colored furred Tandy Gold cat was sprawled across a glass display, purring and flapping its tail. The glass display having brilliant gems placed on purple velvet pillows. A woman with similar hair and cheekbones to Amir is dashing back and forth between high-class folks, making sure they had champagne in hand and helping a few people try on jewelry. She briefly introduced herself to you as Hadil Nori, Amir's older sister. You can see Emir chatting up various patrons as well, using his basic illusionary magic to wow the patrons. The prevailing piece of gossip you have picked up from the celebrations is that nobody has seen Olympia Smythe anywhere during the parade. Someone has theorized that she headed up to the Smythe family villa outside of town. People did note that her father, Vulcanus, had been spotted at the Five Winds Hall, heading towards the dinner with the other guild heads. Attendance to that is closed off to the general public. So it's only like the lawkeeper head and all of the guild masters. And so if Olympia's out of town at the family villa, she's there by herself. And I believe at this point you probably make your way away from the group and try to find your own group, which you see them heading towards the Cobblepath pub. And possibly towards the foreign embassies. And that's where we'll regroup.
Yeah.
Hi there, have I fixed my tech issue?
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's bitchin'.
Huzzah!
Let me turn you up a little bit. I had you turned down because the other mic was loud.
Okay.
And apologies for the cough.
No worries. There might be some internet issues, but it should be fine because I got a Wi-Fi extender.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Cool.
All right.
I think. Sorry, I totally lost the plot. We had a thing for Vaz to Vaz. Vaz was the next person to have a thing.
Vaz is just gonna join back up and.
Yeah, I did a quick overview of what Vaz had been up to because Sarah's a little low energy today, so I just want to keep things going. If you want to jump in at all, if you want to jump in at all, Sarah, let me know. As well as when when Vaz catches up to the group, she'll notice that Creek has mysteriously disappeared, and everybody will turn and go, "What?"
Par for the course.
Oh, that Creek.
Which...
She's probably off. Probably off petting cat somewhere. Let's go. Yeah, to find.
Excuse me, Monsieur Pavo.
All right. So you head past. You head around to where the foreign embassies are. There are large buildings from the different nations from the nearby area. And they all seem to be like cordoned off with large metal fences to keep people out, as each of these are considered, foreign soil. And as you approach the Ophinian Empire embassy, you see 2 guards out front. And they're both pretty buff. One is male, one is female, and they have gleaming armor that gives off a rainbow tint to it. And there are dragons carved into their helmets. They both have long pole arms, and as you approach, they look at you and goes, "What business do you have?"
Sorry, you cut out for me. Can you repeat that?
Which part?
The whole guard speech that they gave.
Their speech was, what business do you have?
I am here to meet with Zen Pavel.
They glance at each other. What business do you have with the prince?
I am an emissary from the Aruxi Isles, and I've come to treat with him on behalf of my people. And am I able to roll persuasion?
Yeah, go for it.
If I ever needed a hero point...
Reminder, everybody does get a hero point for the start of the session.
Apparently I don't need one.
Okay, yeah, 21.
And then I'll add, I assure you this is a matter of the utmost urgency.
They exchange a glance, and one of them nods, and opens the gate, but heads in and closes it behind them and walks off towards the building. The other one looks and goes, "We will send a note to the prince, and if he desires to speak with you, then we will let you in." And you end up sitting there for about what feels like 10 minutes as the other guard is gone. And eventually, the guard comes back.
While it's during those 10 minutes,
Yep.
I don't need to do a roll or anything, but this embassy, is it I might have missed, is there a courtyard in front of like a building, or is it just straight up just like the building right there?
There's a courtyard and a building, and in the courtyard there's a big fountain that has runes around it, and it is pretty much almost like a light show.
Okay. Are there people milling about in here at all? Do we see anybody, or is it pretty much empty?
It's pretty much empty. You don't see see people milling around.
Gotcha. Okay.
I forgot to put up my little DM screen. There we go.
No further questions.
All right. So at the end of those 10 minutes, the second guard comes back and opens the gate and goes, "The prince will see you."
Greg looks quite nervous, but does his best to put on a brave face.
And so as you all pile in, they close the door behind you. And the guard that had gone off to check follows you in to show you where to go. You go past these large, solid wood doors that open up, and it is ornate in here. Plush chairs, bookshelves full of all kinds of things. There seems to be little doodads that are hard to describe, globes with glowing bits in them with spinning dials. Go away, Wheezy.
And
Sorry.
is the prince here?
You sit down in the guard motions for you to sit down in these chairs, and the prince is not here yet. There is a table in between these plush chairs. And as the guard motions for you to sit down, what looks to be like a half elf in butler style clothes walks in and places a tea tray on the table with little tiny snacks, little cookies in the shapes of stars.
Scragg's not going to eat any, and if Gertie tries to go for them, he'll just pull her back a bit and be like, no, not that. Later. No noise. You have to be very polite for the prince, okay? And I'm gonna give her some pets.
Bastard the Badger, though, steals one.
Pickles will allow it. Pickles will not do anything. He will just simply watch. If I actually, that's a good question for my arcane sense. It's an innate spell, but okay, so it's got a hold on, what's the details? Does it have a
While he's checking on that, Nash will offer one of the tiny cookies to Barry.
Barry will snatch it in his little hands, or his little wings almost, and starts nibbling. And you see little actual sparkles spark off of his face as he's eating.
Yeah, I'll open my third eye just to detect. I'll arcane sense do detect magic.
Oh yeah. The room lights up. This whole the teapot is magic. The things on the bookshelf are magic. The light is magic.
You get a magic, and you get a magic.
The whole place is infused with magic. And
okay.
The half elf butler turns and leaves, and the guard that lets you in stands at the door at attention and seems to be watching you all. There's another 5-ish minutes of nothing, just cookies and tea, before in walks the man that you had seen at Olympia's party, Pavo. Also, I don't know why it says Zen there. That's not his. I wondered why you said Zen when you introduced yourself. I think I have a mod on that adds things to the front of names. It's.
Greg is going to stand up at attention and say, Prince Pavo.
He gives you this mischievous smile and goes, "Ah, yes, I remember you lot. You were at Olympia's party." He walks across and sits in a chair, apart from everybody else, but still facing the two big couches. "And what is it that you wish to speak about?"
Sorry, you cut out for me there. Everything after the two big couches.
Oh my gosh, what is wrong with your Discord today?
Internet. This is my internet. I can't control this one, unfortunately. There's nothing I can do.
Alas.
I'm really sorry. I got a Wi-Fi extender. It's not perfect.
Apparently. I don't know much about Wi-Fi extenders. I have an Ethernet cable plugged into my computer.
Yeah, I don't know either. Anyways, what were you saying?
Yes.
Sorry.
Pavo walks in and sits down and crosses his hands and looks at all of you and goes, "What can I do for you?"
Greg. And Greg stops himself and says, I would not be here if it were not an urgent matter. Are you familiar with the Iruxi Isles?
He tilts his head slightly. He's thinking for a second and goes, "Oh, you mean the two isles that are part of the Stardrop Islands? Kupla."
Yes. there were communities all across the islands, but the largest one that I know of was on Kupla, is my understanding. I don't know what has been going on with the others. I understand they've been having trouble with Zulgaths, but that's a question for a different time.
He kind of smile and gives you a little smile. He says, "Well, the Stardrop Islands, they border the continent. There's 13 of them. Only 2 of them have Iruxi on it right now. 10 of those belong to the Empire now. 3 of them are in Dathgard's region."
I have a question.
Yeah.
For Leanne. Were there Iruxi on the Isles before the Empire came along?
Scrag thinks so.
Alright, so Scrag is kind of just biting his tongue for now, and he's going to say, "I would not be coming here if it were not urgent. The crystals which give the Kupla Islands their lush environment, that were given to us by our gods to terraform them for a place of our own, they're going dark, and I believe you know this.
Well, I will tell you what I've been told in the Empire. They say that when the cosmic dragon, Brahmond, breathed life into the world, before he finished, Mendacium flew out of the void and attacked the god of life. The two fought and tore the sky apart, sending down pieces of the stars. The great dragon was vicious, but in the end he was
I'm sorry, after you said pieces of the stars, it cut out again.
He sent down pieces of the stars. The great dragon was victorious, but found that the dead star bits left on the land could not support life. And so he wept for the empty islands, though these tears formed into powerful crystals that he granted to his daughter, Ophenia. He told her to bring these crystals to the island, and they would spring life. Ophenia tasked nymphs with guarding the crystals before returning to the Empire. There are 13 of these crystals, and 13 of them on each of the island. One for each.
And so would I be familiar with sort of like the nymphs? Because I know that they are sort of druidic divine magic.
Yeah.
That part I understand. And obviously the legends could be a little different.
100%.
Depending on the culture. But that more or less lines up, I imagine, with what's correct.
Yeah. It more or less lines up, except for who was granted the crystals. He says they were granted to Ophenia, the goddess of magic. You heard the story as Brahmond gifted them to the Iruxi, who then summoned nymphs to watch over the crystals.
Now, with my research and my previous knowledge, would I be able to roll nature to see how much truth, like, basically which is corroborated by history? Like, I'm gonna do I don't know what you would call it, like a nature magic check, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know if that would actually be the right answer here.
Religion, I also have.
Yeah, religion is where I think this would be.
Okay. 19.
19. All right. So, you know that from the knowledge that you know of the area is that there is the crystal, and at one point there were nymphs there, but they had long since left this world. You don't know where these nymphs are now.
And based on my research in the library a couple episodes ago, is there anything else that I can glean maybe like, what are they granted basically to the Aruxi or to the goddess of magic, or did the Empire make up some nonsense story to justify their imperial aggression? But
And well, here's the thing. As you were looking through, basically anything from the Empire said it was from the goddess. And anything written by the Aruxi is that it was granted to the Aruxi. Most other people don't have clear, like, they don't have a myth for this usually in other places. They're not digging too deep into it. Whether one is true or not, it's hard to tell because it's a myth.
Question. Just to make things even more complicated, would
Yeah.
Nash have heard any part of this myth, the part pertaining to Mendacium before? Would he have heard this or any other alternate version?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I will say, Scrag has probably shared some version of this myth during downtime. It's like the story of his homeland.
Yeah.
So he likes telling it.
The way that Nash had heard it is that, yes, Mendacium had attacked the god of Brahmond and had ripped open the sky, but like also ripped open part of the universe. And when these islands tore down, they broke the world and created this shadow plane. Nobody else, like, Scrag wouldn't have heard this part of it. Most people wouldn't have heard that it had created the shadow plane when these islands fell.
Probably fine. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. And also, Nash, you would have heard that as the fight had gone on, Mendacium had escaped in a crack created by these into the shadow plane.
Oh, I don't like that. All right, that's I guess a future Nash.
Sorry, I'm very engrossed by all of this. I'm also just furiously writing.
Completely fair.
I'm not.
No, yeah, I am as well.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what to say next. Scrag is going to kind of politely smile and say, "That is not the version of the myth I have heard, but it is a lovely story. It is the story of my people." The reason I am coming to you is because I know that the Empire's royalty is descended from dragons, powerful mages, and that is allegedly where these crystals came from. The nymphs of olden times are long gone. I don't even know if anyone left alive on the island still remembers them. Perhaps my grandmother does, but I can't think of anyone else who would. Our crystal, our tears of Brahmond are dying. I need to know if there is any way to stop this from happening or to reverse the damage that has been done. If I cannot, Scrag is just going to kind of look down and say, my homeland and my people are all that I have. I need whatever help you can give, and I am willing to sacrifice anything to get it. And he's going to be very kind of forthright and honest with it, which is probably going to bite him in the ass later, but don't worry about it.
Pavo leans back and thinks for a moment. We could send our top mages to breathe life back into the Brahmon tears, back into the island. But we would need the island to become a vassal of the Empire. Would you be willing to submit yourselves to my mother's reign?
What would that entail?
You would become a part of the Empire. We would rest.
I feel like... Oh, sorry.
We would rest our people there. We would partake in any of the bounties that your island would present. We would protect you from the other nations. You would
Pickles would like
threats from other nations.
Pickles would like to say
Assuming
something.
I don't. Oh yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Like if you had something else to say first, go for it. But Pickles will.
I was just gonna say, I'm assuming it won't take an insight check to figure out like what this is. It's half an offer and half of a threat.
Oh yeah, this is a. If you don't submit to us, we're going to colonize you.
I think if they do,
they're going to colonize you either way. It's just it sounds like one's by force.
So Pickles, when he says the Empire's top mages, Pickles will sort of sit up and he'll eye Pavo, and he'll say, "Your top mages. I've seen what magic from the Empire is like, Prince."
He looks at you, tilts his head.
Your lands may be protected. Your land's magic may be protected by your deity, your beliefs, your queen. That isn't true everywhere. And from what I've seen of magic from the Empire, your people are not prepared to operate responsibly outside of the Empire in that way. Your magic only works safely in your empire.
Oh. Little green one, aren't you funny? You're basing your opinion on Lucius Pierce. I can assure you he is bottom rung. You don't understand. Our people are magic. My mother granted magic into this world. There wouldn't be magic without her.
Greg will reply to that and say, my friend here is a very powerful magic man unto himself.
I'm sure. I'm sure his party tricks are quite entertaining.
I do not know if he is right about everything, but I am inclined to trust him. I do not know how much authority I have to speak on behalf of my people. I have come to you. Can you give me a small reminder of the vision? Because it was a very long time ago.
Yes, it was like a month ago because of holidays. Yes, the vision that Scrag had originally gotten from Chimaki was that the island is dying, that the rivers are drying up, the Zolgath are ever creeping more out of their caves. It is that the crops are dying. And then, at the end of it, the vision shifted to a circus with a woman dancing.
The circus.
Yes. There was a circus and there was a woman, and then there was like there was a guy that had like summoned a celestial looking dragon that had dancing overhead and then disappeared into starlight.
Do you know anyone in a circus by chance?
As you say that, like this whole conversation, Pavo has been so like he has a smirk on his face. He has been pompous. But as you say, anyone in a circus, his expression turns cold, and he looks at you. What do you know about a circus?
I know that there is a woman there who I must find.
You're looking for Vela.
Damn it, why the lag now? Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Can you repeat that?
I had said nothing yet, so I had waited to see if you had said we're going to say anything else. But as you say that, as a woman that you need to find, he looks at you and goes, "You're looking for Vela."
Is that her name?
She is my sister. How do you know of my sister?
Scrag is going to kind of sort of mimic the smirk that the here and say, let's just say she was introduced to me by a very talented augur.
I see. Do you have any idea where the circus is currently?
That
So
sounds
maybe-
like information. Pickles will look pointedly at Scrag and say, that sounds like information that I don't know if we are in a trusting enough relationship to disclose further.
I also don't know where it is.
Right, but Pickles is looking very pointedly at Scrag, kind of a
Oh,
like it as like as much as Pickles communicate, stop talking about this person very quickly.
so Scrag's gonna misinterpret that,
Good.
and he is going to say, well, clearly, if you don't know where she is, then and then he's going to kind of just mumble off and kind of try to gauge the prince's reaction.
As you like start to mumble, he looks a little irritated.
Will it take to get the whereabouts of that circus?
Sorry, you asking me or him?
Fuck, I don't even know at this point. Is it like if I don't know if how much we want to tip our hand, because if he knows and we don't know.
Pickles is trying very hard to communicate to Scrag that we should not. Because out of character, I don't think he knows at all. I think that out of character, and again, like we can communicate this as well as we can in character. I think that if he knew, that person's life would be in danger. Basically, that's my thing. That's where I'm at. What I think.
I see, and then Scrag is going to kind of shake his head and say, I suppose you may not possess the magic that she does.
Oh.
He, as you say that, he kind of like averts his gaze for a moment and just. How little you actually know. Of course I don't have the same magic as her. She's older than me. She's stronger than me. She's a danger. You don't understand. Her being out on the road. She is unkept. She is unmonitored. She will cause problems.
Why is she such?
I simply wish to bring her home where it's safe, where she will not manipulate anyone else out there.
I will tell you what I know if you tell me what I need to know.
I will tell you that there is certainly a way to bring your island back to its full fervor. And as I said, it lies in our hands of our mages.
Like I said, you will tell me what you know, and I will tell you what I know. You care about this person's whereabouts very, very much.
I do. It is my job to bring her home where she belongs.
Why?
Mother misses her dearly. And as I said, she's a danger out there.
Why?
We can't just have children of the Empress out and about.
You're out and about. Why her? What makes her different?
He pauses for a moment, and he seems to be thinking over how he should go about saying this before breathing out and says, "She is a pillar."
Now, a pillar. Leanne, would I know what that means?
I'm not sure if he would know what that means.
Is that a religion, nature,
Would Nash
society?
know what that means?
I think Vaz would know what that means
Oh,
because
boy.
she has had a conversation with somebody about this. But yeah, Vaz, you remember in your conversation, I believe it was with Amir, he was talking about how the city of Athenia's Grace is protected by 8 towers. And in each of these towers, there is a priestess. They are called pillars.
Oh.
Vaz will not betray anything in her face, but she will just sort of clear her throat and try to make eye contact with Screg like, I will tell you later, I promise.
Screg will interpret that properly.
Sweet.
And Screg is going to follow up by saying, and these pillars, they are your most powerful mages. Or something of those variety.
They are important to our society. I'll say that.
And I guess a society as powerful as the Empire's, these pillars would have the ability to breathe life back into these crystals, yes?
He pauses for like a good long second and goes, "Perhaps."
Can I roll insight?
Yeah.
Or something?
Yeah.
Wait, is there insight in this
It
game?
is not insight, it is perception, but it's under a subset of sense motive. So just roll perception, but we're doing a sense motive roll.
Okay. That's a 25.
God, Screg, you're rolling hot tonight.
Rolling so hot.
Incredibly well.
This is Screg's night. But yes, you can tell that he's trying to dodge the question, but that he's clearly like, you kind of hit the nail on the head that this woman could breathe life back into the crystals.
Why did this woman leave? Why leave the lap of luxury and prestige that is the Empire's royal family?
Why leave the nation that apparently, according to you all, is magic itself? What could possibly be out there for anyone beyond beyond the nation so suffused with magical power?
He leans back and snarls slightly and goes, "She was manipulated." One of her priests that was tending to her, he kidnapped her, took her away. We sought them out and killed him, and she just kept running, and I don't know why.
Okay, so like we all know what actually happened, right? Like just out of character, we all know what actually happened here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
Did anyone else
very-
have anything to say? Because Pickles has a thing to say to that.
Yeah.
No,
Vaz
Nash
is not
is just.
gonna... Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Vaz is not gonna say anything. She's just going to roll her eyes and just shake her head.
Yeah, Nash has just been standing quietly in the corner observing this, and like he just looks normal. His shadow looks like it's fuming.
Pickles will look at this man and very simply, just not like just sort of with like a look of utter contempt on his face for this man. He'll say, "Well, my prince, you must surely understand that, as we've already established, there are at least two sides to every story. I should hope that you would acknowledge that fact. Convoluted as the story of these tears on the Stardrop Islands seems to be.
The only truth that matters is the one that my mother tells me. Anything else is just trash."
My mother told me something very, very different. I have one more question that I want to ask you. Do you know why the tears are going dark now, of all times? You are a very powerful mage, I am sure. You must have some idea.
And at like the last chunk of this conversation, he has had like a grumpy expression on his face talking about his sister. But as you say that, the smirk crosses his face again. Now, isn't that interesting? That they all start to fail at once? Those that are not under Imperial control.
Very, very interesting. I'm going to turn to the rest of my party and say, will you please leave the room for a moment?
Greg, I think that
I
Just
don't
a
think that
moment.
wise.
Just
Nash
one
isn't moving.
moment.
Scrag. Pigs will look at Scrag very seriously, and he'll say, "Scrag, this is a fight we have to have later."
I'm not going to fight him. Well, that would be stupid. We're having a nice conversation between two emissaries of our respective nations.
And I don't think anything more productive will come from it with you alone with him than it has with us standing here.
Then let you all be witness to this. Whatever may be causing this, I can guarantee you that my people are strong and hardy and can outlast anything. And then Scrag is going to stand up and say, "It is not my place to bargain with the sovereignty of my people. That is for the gods to decide. It was a pleasure meeting you, sir."
And as you say that, he smiles somehow even wider, and you catch a glimpse of his teeth becoming a little sharper as he goes, "Yes, a pleasure."
And so based on what Scrag knows, he is going to say in Iruxi, in sort of a sarcastic tone, because this is kind of, I would imagine, kind of like a familial greeting almost in Iruxi. he will say, "Walk well, Dragonborn." And I don't know if those are the same. I guess again, the languages are related, but I don't know if he would understand what I said.
Yeah, you see, like, recognition cross his eyes as he says something back in Draconic, and you catch only part of it.
I can understand Draconic.
You can understand Draconic.
I sure can.
I know Scrag was, like, half learning it, so...
He's trying so hard.
He's trying so
not-
hard.
He's just learned Common, or Death Guardian.
Yeah, so
What
as
does he
you,
say?
he says back, "We don't walk, we fly."
Greg is going to turn around to leave, and right before he leaves, he will say, "Let it be known that we do not bow by force. We give our fealty to those who have earned it." And then he is going to leave.
All right.
As we're leaving, Pickles will nod to Pavo, and well, no, Pickles won't say anything, and Pickles will trot up behind him, next to him from behind the couch, where you see there's a little pile of cookie throw up.
Perfect.
But adding on top of that, as they leave, Nash would just look at Bastard and ask, "Would you like a parting snack?" and kind of gesture towards the tray of cookies, with the unspoken indication that Bastard should just go sicko mode on them.
Yeah, he like takes a look at it, tosses the tray onto the floor, and then goes blah, 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 and just throws the cookie bits everywhere. And Pavo just his expression goes like deadpan as he's watching this.
Pickles also doesn't react.
Greg goes like in the most deadpan voice, "No, stop, don't," and then leaves.
So yeah, now there's cookie bits everywhere, but like the tray had like, or the plate that the cookies were on broke, but then it immediately like reformed itself. Blip.
Yeah, Pickles is out of there. Did anybody else have anything else to do?
Yeah. As everybody leaves, Vaz is gonna kind of be standing there for a moment, just sort of staring at Pavo. She's got this expression like she's trying to like memorize something about him, and like if he looks like at all confused or asks her what's wrong, she's gonna go, "Oh, I was just trying to remember what you look like right now, because, well, just in case our future endeavors you aren't quite so pleased to see us." And she'll curtsy and say your grace and then leave.
Oh, love it. Yeah, and as you close the door, the guard leads you back out, closes the door, or the gate, and now you're back out on the street.
Greg is
You cut out a little bit, didn't
You
it?
cut out.
going to say, "We have to find her before he does."
Yes.
100%.
Sorry. Her name is, just give me one last reminder.
He called her Vela. V-E-L-A. Vela.
And does that name ring any bells at all in my studies? I would imagine probably not, even if I am studying dragons.
Yeah, studying dragons, not so much.
I mean, I might make the attempt. Like, I guess that would be religion, or either religion or society, probably.
Yeah, I think this would be society.
Okay, I'll give it a shot. I don't expect it to go super great. I'm actually amazing.
Well, with the
Got a
17,
17.
you know with a 17 that on the long list of children of the Empire that you did clock a Vela in like one family tie list.
And were there any other names listed?
You saw Pavo and Vela pretty close together.
No, I mean under Vela.
Under
Did she have
Vela?
any surnames or aliases?
There wouldn't have been anything like that on the what you were looking at.
Okay. But if I were to look more, I would know where to look now.
Assuming that anything like that is written down, then you would know to look at the royal family of the Empire.
Gotcha.
Their like genealogy line.
So, gosh,
I have to
He's
write a
fruitful.
letter back home. Sorry, what did you say?
Oh, Nash just made the snide remark of that was fruitful.
well, I mean, we did learn some things.
Needed to from him. And
I think, yeah, I think. Go ahead, sorry.
And I've learned something very, very important. I need to write a letter home.
hmm
And as they're walking back to the inn, Screg will say, "Those Imperial bastards will know that for every man they send, for every one of ours they drive out or kill, we will slay 10 or 100 or 1,000 of them.
One other thing that is interesting to me, and maybe this is just on my part. He called Lucius Pierce the bottom rung, but I can't believe that he really genuinely thinks that he said the Empire is magic. Do they really believe that, huh?
Magic
darling.
It's worse than you could imagine.
Magic cannot be controlled. It is not a thing. It is like air. It cannot be held. It's only for a brief moment that a very few select people are able to pick that energy out of the air and use it to bring things into reality.
Pickles looks at Screg in admiration, like, that's the very astute. Yeah.
I come of a family of druids. Did I tell you this?
Oh yeah, it's an impressive understanding. I am very worried about what is going on in the Empire for a lot of reasons, but not the least of which I think that there is a difference in understanding between what most people know about the Empire. I mean, obviously, this goes without saying. I think that there's what people know about the Empire, and then there's the truth behind it all. And I think that truth is way more dangerous than even it seems a member of the royal family understands.
Yes, well, if it got out that, say, for example, the Empire was intentionally sabotaging, years of Brahman in order to drive Isles into darkness so they could drive out their native inhabitants and colonize them, that would be pretty fucked up, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah.
It'd be pretty fucked up.
It would, but
It'd be really
unfortunately,
fucked up, wouldn't it? And then
as
I don't know if there's like a wall or something nearby, he's just going to fucking, like, if there's like a barrel or something, smash it just out of anger.
Yep.
unfortunately, just the knowledge that they're doing that won't. I don't think they would bat an eye if that got out because of how much power they currently hold.
But it will give my people time to prepare. I need
No,
to write
certainly.
about
Like they
course.
of anyone else, they need to know.
Yes. And I do agree that we need to find this fella for her own safety and for your people, of course, but... And he kind of hesitates a moment. He's kind of like wringing his hands a bit. I have promised to be forthcoming, and I don't think that I could call anyone in this group friend if I withheld this information. So I have good news and terrible news. And he is just going to reach into his pockets and pull out that puzzle box that he'd been given by Professor Miri and tell Scrag, once again, I do think that finding Vela should be at the top of our priority list. However, if what your people ultimately need is for their tier of Brahmin to be restored, and he's going to... I imagine he kind of keeps it where it's just like 2 steps from being solved at all times, so he can just open it up. But he does that really quickly, opens up the puzzle box, and he's going to pull out that tiny little marble from the inside and hold it up to Scrag and tell him, I do know where to find more. And he's going to hold up that little marble that looks like it holds a galaxy inside of it, which players may or may not remember was revealed to him to be a tiny form of a tier of Brahmin.
Yes, it's a marble version of it. Just tiny, tiny.
Greg will kind of reach out and I don't know if Nash will let him touch it.
Yeah, he will.
He'll kind of cradle it in his hands.
Yeah, and Scrag, as you look into this tiny marble, your eyes like light up as with recognition of this looks like the tier of Brahman you have back home. The one back home, though, fills a room. It's huge.
And this one is much smaller.
Much smaller. But you can still see the same galaxy spirally pattern as it shifts and moves in the marble in your hand.
Sorry, I didn't mean, like, when you guys, like, don't... I didn't mean to cut you off. Go for it. What you guys against?
I was going to say something. I was going to say Scrag, like, puts the thing back in Nash's hand, and he's going to say, though your flesh is cloaked in shadow, your soul bears the brightest light of perhaps anyone I have ever known.
You can just kind of barely tell from like his painted eye makeup that his eyes widen a little bit. He doesn't necessarily know how to receive that compliment.
Scrag just into a hug.
Right, and he'll hug him back, and he'll tell him, it is a much smaller version of than yours, I am quite sure, but there are recesses of the Shadow Plane where we might be able to find more, and between Pickles and myself, I think we know a few individuals who would be able to harness something like this.
Vela being among them.
Oh, yes. Vela, my sister, and Blitzy, if she finds it agreeable. And he'll just kind of like give Pickles a look and shrug.
Pickles will shrug back, like, my current relationship with Blitzy is on the mend, but still somewhat strained. I don't think going to her with a proposition of we're going to fuck around with in the Shadow Plane to fix this kind of stuff would be received the most positively.
Why do
Perhaps
you know
when we
about...
had more to work with.
What is the islands in the Shadow Plane?
You cut out there. Can you repeat that?
What is the connection between the islands of the Shadow Plane?
Oh, well, they were created roughly the same time. When the sky was ripped open, the stars fell to create your islands, and that rip became what was my home.
And what of the fighters?
Well, Brahman tended to this world, this plane, and granted his tears to sustain it. The other combatant fled to my side.
Sorry, what was the name of that combatant again?
Mendacium.
Screg's eyes widen, and he sort of mutters, "I know what they want with the islands." What else could it be? Unless they really like dragon peppers.
That gets back to what my worry is there is a lot of confusion and false history and different stories surrounding the Empire and its origin and who's currently ruling it and all that kind of stuff. And while there's an extent to which that difference can be just, something like the product of we tell this story to justify something, or just a product of mortals being mortals. It's inarguable that the beginning of the Empire is inextricably tied with the gods, but I think that the story is far messier and has far more collateral damage in its past and its future than anybody the Empire seems to be pretending.
Particularly if Mendacium is involved. In all of my research and trying to untangle these myths, there is but one truth of her that I have found. It is that she lies.
What? The god of lies and nightmares lies?
It's almost like it benefits her or something. I don't know.
Pickles sort of like thinks for a second and he says, I mean, thinking about it actually, that would... Maybe this is what people have been saying, but what if instability is the goal? What if the mages of the Empire not being trained in safe practices for the magic? What if that's the point? What if this confusion, this messiness is all by design?
I believe they may.
Oh, sorry. He was just gonna say I'm inclined to agree.
And I believe they may intend to use the place where I hail from as a way to unleash the powers of Mendacium to their benefit.
Sarah, were you gonna say something? I saw you unmuted. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
If what you say is true, then my island or somewhere near it will have underneath it or in a portal directly to the Shadow Plane and all that dwells within. Is that not how that works?
It could be. There are a gracious few known portals that are stable, highly regulated, one of which is, of course, directly to the Empire. There are, as we've seen, however, areas where rifts are more common than others, more prone to opening. But the Shadow Plane and the material don't entirely line up as they should. It's not as though you could take a map of each and place them on top of each other and pinpoint where these connections would happen. Though if something like that did exist, it would be at your island.
Do I remember any stories? Grandma, I don't know if she remembers the time before the nymphs went away, but does she know about, would she have mentioned anything about the rifts, or would anyone on the island have known anything?
I think your grandma. I don't think she was around when the nymphs were. She's heard, like, basically, the stories that you heard were stories that were told to her. But she would have probably have mentioned that thing, that with any great source of magic, there is a greater instability between the planes, and that needed to be watched, and that she believes that is where the Zolgas came from.
And the Zolgas are kind of like a shadow planey reflection of us, or how does that work?
Yeah, they're kind of like, they are in the old D&D terms, it'd be like the drow version of.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. They live underground. They've got really pale scales. So that they're more what would have been an Underdark, but she believes that the shadow plane is connected to the ground below.
We may have to venture into a very, very scary place. We should begin planning our next move carefully. I think we have to get to the bottom of this, and it may take us on a journey more daring and dangerous than any of us expected. But we need to find out more, and we need to find Vela, and we need to find out how to solve all of these problems, quite frankly. Yes, they all seem to be connected, almost as if someone was like giving like a rich narrative tapestry of some kind.
Pickles, if Scray actually says that, Pickles will say, well, I mean, that's because someone is. Like, I don't mean to get all religious and stuff, but there's absolutely a library, and there's absolutely a collection of stories.
It appears that we are in the midst of the history's greatest crossover.
What in the gods' green earth are you talking about?
Greg does not know.
It's good to have you back, Screg.
Thank you.
Well then, I do believe that finding Vela should be among our first steps. In addition, and not solely because of my personal bias, perhaps a visit to my sister would be in order, because if we are to seek out more of these tiers, we will need some way in which to locate them, and I do believe she could help us with that.
I think we also have Olympia Smythe's thing going on soon.
Yeah. I think that
I'd forgotten about her. I will be completely honest with you.
Fair, honestly.
No, I don't think we can rightly leave the city until we resolved her. Not the least of which because Pavo seems to be interested in her succeeding, and I'm at the point where anything Pavo wants to do, I want to undo.
She's also doing slavery, I think.
Yeah. She is, in fact,
Yeah.
doing a slavery.
Yes, we
Also,
should
like-
undo that, shouldn't we?
I'm not saying that it's like more harm than the other sort of cosmic stuff, but it is very much the immediate problem that we should be dealing with.
No, yes, certainly. Two things can be true.
Yeah.
There's a
And,
lot
you
of
know-
threads happening at once, so I understand this.
Maybe Creek is off dealing with her.
You come back, Creek is like already like got her in chains. I did it.
I found her.
I've done an emancipation.
Yeah.
No, even better. It's like she's just like vibing, like eating a sandwich, and Olympia Smythe's also there. It's just like, Creek, what you got there? She's like, a sandwich.
It's
Excellent.
smoothie.
She was like, I got halfway there before I realized y'all weren't behind me, and I was like, I'm not going back.
All right. So
One last thing I wanted to say, with regards to the differing interpretations and all that kind of stuff, and maybe this sounds stupid and idealistic or simple, but at the end of the day, the most important thing that I want to remember and point out that with all these stories and all these different stories of, oh, we, the tears up by the grace of us or Brahmin and all that kind of stuff, there is a truth. There is a right answer. And oftentimes that right answer is deeper or has more context than what, even somebody who's mostly right might have to it. So I guess I'm just saying is that the truth with this might get ugly or complicated, but there is something we can look for that is the truth.
These are these are stories that you tell children. Like I am like 25. Like I know how to take these things kind of with a grain of salt.
No, I'm talking about like the Empire and all of that.
Oh yeah, that.
Like the Empire, there is a reason the Empire is doing all this stuff. And I am inclined to agree with everybody that it's probably not just because they want to be an empire and be in people's faces. So I think looking for that deeper meaning is something we should keep an eye out for. Especially when Pablo says things like, "My mother's truth is all that matters." Anyway.
Looks like he wants to say something, but he doesn't.
Anyways, time to look and, do stuff, I guess. I don't have a whole lot to say on this topic at this point. I think we all know what our goal is.
Yeah, were we gonna just head out and friggin' go to Olympia's place?
Well, I mean,
We're gonna look.
Have we taken a rest?
Nope. It's still the day of the cat festival. It's getting later in the afternoon.
Do we maybe want to go at it at night?
I don't know.
I'm not even sure we're going to approach this.
Yeah, do we even know where it is?
Scrag does, because he did a recon mission and saw that one of the people that used to live on his island, Talon, is out there kind of basically commanding raptors out on the field up there.
I think I also made a map or something.
You made a map.
Yeah.
And you had made a deal with Raven and Fleetfoot, but you only met Fleetfoot, that they would share more information from the underground if you brought Olympia to got her caught. I'd have to double check what Fleetfoot and Raven No, Fleetfoot said you could meet Raven if you brought Olympia in.
Okay.
And they were people that were in the River Rats that defected from the River Rats.
All right, I'm gonna try and find. Fuck, I've already forgotten his name. Skimpy or whatever his name was.
Skimpy. Who?
The first guy.
First guy.
You're just talking about.
Fleetfoot.
Yes, Fleetfoot.
I'm how is that? Who
wow.
I'm who the fuck is Skippy? I don't have that in my notes.
Fleetfoot.
Skimpy.
Skimpy,
No, I don't know.
Fleetfoot. Look, but here's the thing. He doesn't know Scrag. He knows the rooster. So
yes, he does know the rooster.
Or I guess technically he does know Scrag, because
No,
knew
he
who
knows.
Greg was
He
on the
he knows
map.
the rooster. What are you talking
Right.
about? It's the rooster.
Okay, well, the rooster needs to find Fleetfoot and tell him what's going on. Maybe not the whole thing, but like just that he has a map, and he's gonna make a copy of that map, and he's basically gonna like set it up top floor of the Horizon Walkers Guild when we get back, like on a big table with a bunch of random knives sticking out of it for some reason as they sort of plan ahead.
We probably shouldn't do that in the Horizon Walkers. Actually, we should probably do that
maybe
like
not
in our in room.
publicly. Yeah, like a private room somewhere. And a copy of the map will be passed on to Fleetfoot, as well as sort of some information about Talon.
Okay.
Let's meet back. Should we like break up the party for a bit and then meet back to discuss plans in a couple hours?
I'm not sure.
Do have an errand I'd like to run. Preferably not by myself this time.
And we will come with you.
All right, and as you all decide what to do next, I'm going to take a little break. We back now. All right, so you leave the foreign embassies. It's getting later into the evening. It's about 5 o'clock. Where to next?
One idea of a lead, if you will, for information that might be useful for us. Farther in the future, of course, when dealing with the tiers, but now might be the best time to gain such information, as I don't know how long I will remain in the good graces of this particular contact. Or if I'm currently in them, but at least there's, a facade currently.
Let's go. Let's do it.
All right, let's pay a visit to one Professor Kartavaska.
All right. So yeah, exiting the foreign embassies, you walk past the big theater into the Horizon Square, which is currently winding down. People are partying. You can see people are getting more drunk as everything's gone by. Somebody's like swinging a cat back and forth, and the cat looks displeased. But you head up towards the Horizon's Gate Academy.
Can I just stop him to prevent him from doing that?
I don't think you need to. As you like walk by, the cat like slips free and like scratches the guy's face and then runs off.
Okay, good.
Yeah, he wasn't swinging the cat by its tail, I believe.
Oh,
No,
correct.
no. Just like picked it up by its like body and is like swinging it back and forth, and the cat like squirm free.
Mm-hmm.
You know how like you pick up a cat and go, pretty baby, yay! But he was clearly doing it for a bit too long.
Yeah.
And a bit too hard.
Yeah, because he was clearly drunk. But yeah, you pass by the large statue of the founder as you walk in, past the halls. And you pass by like Professor Miri's office, and she's like curled up in there with like a book. And she kind of gives you a little wave as you walk by towards Carta's office.
Pickles will wave as well.
Nash gives a polite nod, his shadow waves.
And as you knock on Carta's door, she opens it and looks at you and goes, "Oh, you're not out enjoying the festival?"
Oh, I think we had quite enough partying earlier this morning.
Indeed.
The parade was eventful for some of our party's members, you might say.
Ah, I'm glad you got to the parade after you were chasing those little gremlins around.
Hmm. I was wondering if I may impose on your time briefly to ask a few questions about that tracking device of yours?
Of course. She opens the door a little wider and gestures that you come in. And with all of you in there, it is a little cramped in her office, but she sits down at her desk and tilts her head and she looks at you.
I am particularly interested in its location capabilities. You do forgive my memory if this is something we have covered already, but I know you typically use it for locating rifts to different planes based on, objects from those locations. Would it be able to track objects themselves of a certain magical nature?
It's more for tracking down the rifts, the energy signatures that converge between our worlds. For actual items, I'm afraid I don't think it can do that.
It wouldn't be able to isolate any one energy signal?
Perhaps, if I knew... It depends on the object, I suppose. Like a shoe, absolutely not. But I suspect that's not what you're thinking of.
No, I'm thinking more along the lines of Tears of Brahman.
Ah. Now that is possible. Tears of Brahman on their own tend to defy everything. They are a energy source that exists on all planes and yet none of them. It cuts between the worlds. Godlike powers like that, all condensed into a little chunk of crystal. And what do you have in mind for these crystals? Why are you searching for them?
Well, as you may or may not have known from our mutual time in the Shadow Plane, as it was not something she was allowed to pursue. My sister is also somewhat of an inventor, you might say. And the smaller tiers, act as batteries or light sources, I'm told, and would be very useful for her.
As a servant in your house, I did hear that your sister was allowed to tinker with the crystals.
I think they mostly entertained her, as though it were some sort of play, but she could put them to good use, I should think.
I suspect so. After all, the crystals are part of what your family was mining out of those mines. The Tears of Brahman themselves.
Yes, well, if we were going to seek them out ourselves, I would... That is part of why your device interested me. I would hopefully find a different source than to go directly to the family's mines.
Very fair. It is heavily guarded by all kinds of nasty individuals.
And he's kind of like, is the device out, I'm assuming, like, on her desk or so?
Yeah.
He's kind of like looking over it, inspecting different little parts of it, do you have any sort of like schematics for this device, for its inner workings?
I have. I presented the designs in a paper that I published. I can get you a copy if you wish to bring it to your sister, if that's what you're intending.
Oh, that would be most helpful. I can only imagine how long a device like this took to create, and I'm certainly not asking to borrow yours, but it would save her some time from having to reinvent the wheel, as it were.
Yes, this is the product of many years of study, trial and error. It's my entire line of study. And she gets up and she's like flipping through papers in a big file cabinet, basically, and she pulls out a handful of paper and she like taps it on there, slips into a folder, and hands it to you and goes, "But it is important to share findings. And if I recall correctly, your sister was a very inquisitive mind. It'd be an honor to share with someone like that."
Yes, she could make far more sense of this than I could, and I do appreciate your willingness to share. I know that's no small thing to simply hand over one's life's work.
Well, it is to be published, so more people will know about it soon enough, but I will make an exception for you. Do keep a good eye on it, though.
Of course. It will be for her eyes only. And it, like, ironically enough, as he says that, he's probably already held it long enough that the shadowing would cover the paper, so it can't even be seen.
Yeah, like it is illegible now.
Mm-hmm. Well then, I won't take any more of your time. Thank you again, and I do hope you also take a break in a moment to enjoy some of the festivities today.
There's no rest for those in education, I'm afraid.
Damn, that's real.
I'm sorry.
Nash didn't say that.
I'm sorry.
Nash didn't say that. Sheld said that. Oh.
Be nice to teach.
She smiles a little weakly, but nods at you.
Yeah, he'll give a polite nod back and kind of excuse himself. His shadow once again kind of like hesitates, even as he has left the room and has closed the door behind him. It's kind of cast underneath the door, and it's looking at her for just a moment. It looks very confused and torn, but then just kind of recedes back out of the door.
Before the shadow recedes, she looks down at it and whispers, "Do be careful where you're putting your nose." And then the shadow recedes.
As we leave, after the door closes, Pickles will turn to Nash. Nash?
Nash looks a little bit lost in thought already.
Nash. Hey, Nash.
Oh, yes. Yes.
You said that you weren't... It sounded like you said you weren't sure if we'd be able to trust her.
I'll be honest with you. I cannot get any sort of consistent read on her. And he kind of just glances around as they've walked further down the hallway, so they're not near her door.
Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pickles will hold up his hand and sort of stop Nash, and he will take the folder with the papers out of Nash's hand, and I'm going to cast Read Aura on that piece of on that folder of paper, so I can know if the object is magical, and if it is, what school of magic it has.
As you cast Read Aura, and like as you're holding this, the shadow slowly starts to recede, and you don't get any magic off of this. It's just paper.
Okay. Pickles will hand it back to Nash and say, "Just checking." Continue, please.
I had fully prepared to enter that office, and I had an entire plan. He pulls out his little clockwork goggles, and he said, "Did you know that these can capture an image when you use them as part of their workings? Something Moxie taught me. They can give you a certain type of vision. These are for low light, but whatever stimuli they are focused on, they are temporary use because that image is burned into them. I was simply going to steal these schematics, and yet here they are." And he just kind of like holds out the papers again, even as once again they're shadowing, so you can't see them, but it's the gesture. I do not think she can be fully trusted by any means. Like I said, I cannot get a read on her. I believe she is hiding things. I believe she is dangerous, but to whom I cannot say.
You think she's got a chip on her shoulder with you with regards to your family?
I have every reason to suspect that she is still under their employ in some way. I can attest to the fact that no one truly leaves House Golvemia. But she simply does not act in that way.
Didn't you leave the house?
For now. I am constantly on the run, however. There are many who would seek to bring both myself and my sister back home, they call it. I suspect she may even be one of them, but how much of that is her and how much of it is simply my house, I cannot say.
Pickles will kind of nod and sort of stroke his chin a little bit and think.
Not to mention, I think she may be the head of an assassin's guild, but I don't know if that is... I don't know if that is separate or if that is wholly related. It very well could be, given the symbol they use.
I said earlier, there is always a single truth. Another part of that is that there are, in my mind, no coincidences. I think that you're right to trust your gut in terms of not being fully trusting of Cartavaska. But as we so often learned in our endeavors here recently, you don't have to trust someone fully to work with them.
Yes. In any case, certainly best to keep an eye on her.
As we're passing by Professor Miri's door again,
Yeah.
Pickles would actually like to step in and look in on Professor Miri.
Oh! Hello.
Hey, Professor. It's been a second.
Yes, it's been a little bit. Hi.
Yeah. Hi. How are you doing?
Oh, all right. I'm still a little bummed that my other group, that I was with before I ran into you guys, they got to go to the moon, apparently, supposedly, allegedly. I don't know if they're lying about that or not.
Yeah, you were refresh my memory. You were a professor of ancient Elven history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think I remember you mentioned something where the elves, there was something to do with the moon and the elves, right?
Yeah, they used to live up there.
As in no longer.
Yeah. Not after the war.
The war with the Empire.
Yeah.
Do you know much? I mean, obviously it's not your complete subject. Do you know much about the Empire and their sort of effect on the continent? Do you know anything about the origins of the Empire, or anything like that?
Well, I know a bit. I know that the Empress, she started the Empire, and then she started expanding into Elven territories. And then there was like a standstill between her and the Wood Elves.
Mm-hmm.
And then her son, how the legend goes. All the like actual historical records are really muddy around this, but the legend goes that her son fell in love with the Moon Elf princess, and that when they were trying to get together and like show their love for each other, that they got caught, and the Moon Elf Queen killed him. And this enraged Ophinia. And they went to war. And then the moon blew up, kind of. There was some kind of magical explosion. And she kind of like moves her hands a bit and goes, you know how when you look at the moon, it's kind of shiny in that one spot?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the explosion happened. And it basically crystallized that whole bit. And it wiped out a lot of the Moon Elves. And then the rest ran to Cephalus.
Crystallized the whole bit.
And after that, Ophinia started pushing further and further into Elven territory, sending them down south. And now they all live in Cephalus. With a few exceptions. Like, there's a magical forest in the Empire that they can't get into. And some elves live there. I think your friend Creek is from there.
Huh. Nash? that thing you showed Screg earlier. Do you mind if we... Do you mind if we show it to the professor?
Oh, not at all. I believe we have, before.
Oh,
But
yeah.
just in case, yes.
Yes.
He'll take back the puzzle box out and resolve it and show the tear from inside of it.
Yeah, you got it open. That was what I gave you, because Carta gave it to me and I couldn't figure it out.
Right. Is this... I haven't observed the moon closely. Is this at all similar to that crystallized area on the moon?
Not really.
Okay.
They're both crystals, but on the moon, it's not a power crystal. It's just
Gotcha.
ruin.
Gotcha. And the reason for the war between the elves and the Empire was there any reason before the death of the prince? Did the Empire ever give any reason for why they were expanding and encroaching on Elven territory before then?
Reason? I don't know. I can only assume it's because empires gotta expand. That's what empires do.
Right.
Till they collapse.
Yeah. Hopefully one day the empire will collapse.
They will eventually find something they cannot conquer. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later.
Hmm.
Having them just like hovering over the whole continent just it gives me the heebie-jeebies, you know?
Mm-hmm. Me too.
If they can't find something unconquerable, then we'll make something unconquerable.
Wow. How do you do that?
I mean, look, I said it, and then I was like, it's kind of a...
Look, I just study history, and I gotta say, I don't think there's anything that's truly unconquerable.
No,
It's
but you can make
just
it hard enough that, like, it's not practical to conquer, you know?
I'm just saying it goes in reverse too. The Empire thinks that they're unconquerable, but they're not. Something big bad could happen. I don't know it as well, but before there's a little bit of history that like my focus is elven history, but before Ophinia and the elves and all that, there was the Aesamar and the Tieflings. They used to have a huge empire. And it's gone now. It's a desert. All because the gods decided that it wasn't worth it, and they blew it up.
I think the Aruxi live in the desert now. Some of them, anyway.
Some of them do. There's also still tieflings out there, and nomadic tribes. But it used to be this huge empire full of, like, lush gardens. It's all gone now. Supposedly. Allegedly.
The Elven Kingdom. That one forest.
Yeah.
That one forest that you mentioned Creek is supposed to be from?
Yeah.
Is there any reference to a power source within that forest? Is there a word of what's protecting them?
As far as I know, it's the forest itself. Nobody can cut into it. Everybody who wanders in gets lost if they don't know the way.
Was that there before the Moon Elves were destroyed?
No. I think they sprouted it up after the war started and they just hid themselves.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think it was a response to that. As far as the teachings go, or all the stuff that I found in the history.
Okay. You've given me a lot to think about, Professor. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I love sharing this. It's my favorite thing in the whole world.
Last question.
Yeah.
Is there any reference to any elves migrating into the shadow plane?
Oh. I think, yeah. And she, like, digs through some papers, goes, yeah, here. There's some cave elves that dug deep. Part of them set up on the material plane, but they found, like, a way into the shadow plane, and some of them moved there. And then they set up trade between the two. It's deep underground in Brumdim. You know, the big, the Dwarven Kingdom is attached to it.
Gotcha, okay.
You dig down deep enough, you find the cave elves.
Okay. But they're pretty much in that one central place, right?
Yeah. The cave elves just go deep in those mountains.
And these are mountains on the continent. Are these the big mountains that divide the continent?
They're the ones on to the east, not the west.
The east. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
The ones on the west split us off from the Empire. The ones on the west, that's where Brumdim is, and Udria. Their mountains are connected to that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Yeah, you give me a lot more to think about.
I'm glad I can help.
Okay, Professor. Well, you take care and get some sleep.
Okay. Honestly, the cat festival freaks me out.
I don't blame you.
There's so many cats everywhere. Just let them run wild. They gnaw on my feet.
Oh no.
I don't like it. Oh God, they're outside.
Yeah, let's close the professor's door. So yeah, we leave, and Pickles seems like very, very deep in thought about all of that.
I
Well,
can
if we could
hear the cats on your end, so I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
They're coming for Barry.
if we could locate these cave elves, if they do house one of the more permanent gates to the Shadow Plane, that would be a much safer alternative to entry than the Empire's Gate.
I'm also interested in what force is protecting that one forest. I mean, I'm fully believe that it could just be, I think the professor's right. It could just be the forest itself, but because my thinking is, I feel like I am interested in looking into the reasons for the Empire's expansion, because, and I'm not saying this is the only reason they would expand, but given a sort of a I apologize for our cat. Given the sort of situation that's going on, I wonder whether these tiers of Brahmins might motivate them more than other things. It's also very there's a lot of threats there, like with the elves on the moon and the situation with the elven queen. I don't know if we even know anything about the elves since then. I mean, they've all to our knowledge, the elven queen is just gone now, right?
The DM can correct me if I'm wrong, but Nash will say, to my knowledge, she was lost when she deployed that weapon.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Anyone know what happened to her?
Hmm?
The elf queen. Does anyone know what happened to her? Like, was her body
Well, that
ever
was-
found, or?
I would assume obliteration, much as anything else that weapon.
I will say you do not know anybody that knows what happened. I know what happened. And there
Yeah,
are...
I think the assumption though is that the weapon completely destroyed all that were caught within its radius.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose if we wanted to learn any different, we would have to ourselves go to the moon.
It's super frustrating knowing that I'm an Aphorite, because that means that I know for a fact, for a god's damned fact, that there is out there in the universe somewhere a library with literally all the answers to these questions. And I can't get to it. But that library gets stocked from somewhere. So we might have to just go find some primary sources.
Right. Well, we've a long list of new destinations, it sounds, but before we get too caught up in our more theological quest, I do believe it's time we pay Ophinia a visit. Once we...
You mean Olympia?
Olympia, yes. No.
Apologies for all the O names.
I was Shelby misspeaking. Yes, Olympia visit once we, again, know what our plan is upon arrival.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the best option may be to rest up for that.
Mm.
Yeah. Pickles doesn't have anything else further.
Nope.
Okay. Meow.
Anything else from Screg? Are you muted, Dan?
Greg cannot think of anything.
Okay. Then I think that's probably it until we get our other party members back. Katie wasn't here today. Sarah had to excuse herself.
Yeah.
We love them both.
Yeah.
So as you start heading back to probably the Cobblepath Pub for dinner, I think that's where we'll end it for tonight.
Yeah.
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 Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Hey.
Bye.